Welcome. The title of our presentation today is Reclaiming Moral Purpose, a New Path for Islamic Finance in a Financialized World. This isn't just an academic topic, it's a critical examination of a profound challenge. The Islamic finance industry, now a multi-trillion-dollar sector, stands at a crossroads. It was born from a divine moral imperative, yet it operates within a global financial system built on principles that are, in many ways, its complete opposite. This presentation will explore this foundational conflict, critique the industry's current trajectory, and propose a viable, principled path forward, a path that seeks to reclaim its original moral purpose. The core of the problem lies in what we can call the epistemic collision, a clash of two fundamentally different worldviews. On one side, we have the Islamic worldview, rooted in Tawḥīd, the absolute oneness of God. In this view, economics is not a separate secular activity. It is a moral endeavor, a form of worship, and an extension of our accountability to our Creator, a process known as Tazkiyah. Its goal is justice, adl, and the circulation of real productive value. On the other side, we have the dominant global system. Its foundation is riba, interest, or usury. Its logic is built on speculative capital, the creation of perpetual debt, and the extraction of value. Its goal is not moral, but material, the maximization of profit, utility, and endless material growth. The central struggle of Islamic finance is its attempt to exist in both worlds, to use the tools of one system while claiming the values of the other. This has created a deep and dangerous tension. This tension is laid bare in the Qur'an itself, which contrasts two opposing civilizational logics, Riba and Ṣadaqah. The verse tells us that Allah destroys riba and gives increase to sadaqat. Riba, or interest, is inherently extractive. It allows wealth to be vacuumed upwards, concentrating it in the hands of a few. It may inflate assets, but it is empty of barakah, or true blessing, because it is rooted in self-interest. Ṣadaqah, which is far more than just charity, it's a logic of giving and mutuality, is the opposite. It is distributive. It focuses on social responsibility and the circulation of wealth. This is what truly increases barakah and societal well-being. The critique is simple. Modern Islamic finance, by accommodating and mimicking the global system, has structurally aligned itself more with the logic of riba than the logic of sadaqah. This alignment is most obvious in the industry's focus on form over substance. Rather than building a new system, we've focused on creating technically compliant structures that, in practice, mimic the old ones. We see this in market mimicry. The industry is dominated by debt-replicating products like Murābaḥah, cost plus sale, and Tawarruq, commodity-based cash financing. In outcome, these often function identically to a conventional loan, merely replacing the word interest with profit. This has been called Shariah Arbitrage. We see sukuk, marketed as asset-backed securities that are structured to function exactly like bonds, guaranteeing principal and a fixed return. This mimicry goes so deep that many Islamic banks benchmark their pricing to riba-based rates like LIBOR or SOFR. In doing so, they are functionally submitting their authority to the very system they were meant to replace. Even our purification frameworks, which allow a small percentage of non-permissible income, risk normalizing riba as a manageable contaminant rather than treating it as the moral cancer the classical scholars understood it to be. Zooming out, this financial critique is part of a larger one, the critique of an economic system that is fundamentally extractive. Theorists of what is called patriarchal capitalism argue that the system creates profit by surreptitiously taking free gifts. These gifts include the surplus labor of workers, the unremunerated care work in the household, and the finite resources of the natural world. Profit becomes a gift channeled up the socio-economic ladder. To maintain this power dynamic, the system must create artificial scarcity. If abundance existed, if everyone had housing, food, and security, there would be no leverage to compel people to work for the powerful. This creates a moral contradiction. The market's logic is exchange, an ego-oriented, quid pro quo, I give so that I can receive. This is the opposite of the Islamic and maternal logic of the gift, an other-oriented logic of care, mutuality, and trust. I give so that you may have. So, what is the alternative? How do we build a system on a different logic? We must return to our foundational principles modeled by the Prophet, peace be upon him. First, it begins internally with tawakkul, trust in God, and Tazkiyah, purification of the self. This is the moral discipline to resist unethical shortcuts. Second, we must embrace real risk-sharing. This means shifting decisively away from debt replication and towards true equity partnerships like Murābaḥah, venture capital, and musharakah, equity partnerships. In this model, you profit with your partner through contribution, not from them through entitlement. Third, finance must be anchored to the real economy. It must be connected to productive, tangible enterprises, agriculture, trade, crafts. This means a prohibition on speculation and, as the Prophet said, do not sell what you do not possess. And fourth, circulation, not concentration. The entire purpose of mechanisms like zakah and waqf, endowments, is to ensure wealth circulates throughout all of society, not just among the rich. These principles are not just theories. Practical models that align with them already exist. Consider cooperative economics. These are businesses owned and democratically controlled by their workers or members, prioritizing community benefit over profit maximization. This directly addresses Islamic mandate for equity. This can be scaled up through community wealth building, a strategy to organize an entire local economy, its land, labor, and capital, under community control. We also have mutual credit systems. This is a revolutionary concept, a way for members of a trusted network to trade without using conventional debt-based money. They use an internal accounting score. This system is interest-free, and crucially, because it's just an accounting ledger, it is not a store of value. It cannot be hoarded by billionaires, and it has no growth imperative driving overconsumption. Ultimately, the solution requires a new definition of wealth. We must shift our goal from endless material growth to qualitative well-being and abundance. This includes embracing the gift economy, which aligns perfectly with Ṣadaqah. It's an economy based on distributing goods and services directly to needs without requiring a quid pro quo. This fosters trust and mutuality. This also aligns with the concept of radical abundance from degrowth theory. This isn't about poverty, it's about expanding public wealth, universal access to housing, healthcare, transport, even if private material GDP shrinks. It substitutes equality for growth. And finally, this must be practiced locally. True Islamic economics will not emerge from a top-down corporate decree. It will be built from the ground up, through ethical households, masjid-based mutual aid, and community-led financial cooperatives. If this sounds impossible, we need only look at our guiding example. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, lived inside a Riba-based civilization, but refused its worldview, modeling a system of justice from below. He proved that moral clarity and Riba-free participation are possible, not through legal acrobatics, but through ethical conviction. The Prophet, peace be upon him, was surrounded by a system of interest in Mecca. He did not try to find a halal loophole. He refused its logic entirely and built a parallel community on the principles of justice and trust. He proved it is possible. Our task ahead, then, is to make this same shift in our own time. We must move from being a mere compliance layer to becoming a living moral ecosystem, from debt replication to real risk sharing, and from market mimicry to principled distinction. We must have the courage to be a genuine alternative, not just a pale, compliant reflection of the system we were meant to challenge. The concepts in this presentation are built on a deep and wide-ranging body of research. The primary critique of Islamic finance and its classical roots is drawn from sources like Farhad Omar's work, Islamic Economics in an Extractive Age, which itself is built on classical authorities like al-Ghazali, Ibn Taymiyyah, and Ibn Khaldun. This is supported by modern scholars like Dr. Omar Chopra and Dr. Mahmoud El-Gamal, and balanced by critical secular analyses from figures like David Graeber and Hyman Minsky. Farhad Omar's work is available on both lulu.com and amazon.com. The critique of our current extractive system is heavily informed by the vital work of Genevieve Vaughn on the maternal gift economy, which contrasts exchange logic with gift logic. It also draws from the degrowth framework articulated by scholars like Jason Hickel, who exposes the Lauderdale paradox: their private riches are created by destroying public wealth, and L. Randall Wray's work on Hyman Minsky, who showed how financial stability ironically leads to instability. And finally, the alternative solutions we've explored are practical, existing models. These include the interest-free systems proposed by the Credit Commons Society, the work on cooperative economics and Governing the Commons by Nobel laureate Elinor Ostrom, and the new economic paradigms being championed by thinkers like Kate Raworth with her donut economics and Christian Felber's Economy for the Common Good. Thank you for your attention. I would now be happy to answer any questions you may have. Please leave them in the comments below. As we move to discussion, I want to leave you with this final thought, which is the ultimate measure of our success. The success of Islamic economics cannot be measured by market share or asset volumes, but by whether it nurtures justice, character, dignity, and the flourishing of humanity under the gaze of the divine. Thank you.